with a not-so-subtle nod to the sci-fi masterpiece 2001, A Space Odyssey. Scottish developer NoCodec this week embarked on its latest adventure, with the launch of the brilliant horror game, Observation. Building on its experience in creating the narrative-driven game stories and told and its contributions to creative assemblies live in isolation. Observation, published by Devolver, puts players in command of an artificial intelligence named
S.A.M.
as part of a space station.
S.A.M.
has task of aiding Drive, Emma Fisher, as she tries to regain communication with her crew and find a way back home. Much in the style of the studio's previous game, players control different parts of the station as
S.A.M.
from surveillance cameras to door mechanisms, by manipulating systems and solving small puzzles depending on the situation. Acting on behalf of Emma's requests, NoCode founder and creative director Jon McKellan says, definitely part of stories, Untold's DNA in Observation. It's the kind of game we like to make puzzles that are not necessarily difficult to solve, but feeling your way around the user interface is part of the puzzle itself. He thinks Observation expands on the groundwork laid by Stories Untold. Observation extends the player's freedom to part of conversations, and gives players more room to explore from the get-go. Instead of fixed scenarios, there is a whole station available, and the space available does nothing but increase over time. As the story unlocks new places to take control, Observation is still a linear story, but it's a journey through the station, interacting with characters and using systems in more open ways. Instead of using one system at one point in the game, you might have to use it several times, in a few different situations, and learn how and when it might be appropriate. McKellan says, these are all tools in the belt now. Since players are taking part of the back end of the station, it was important for NoCode to come up with interfaces that did not feel too human. Interactions needed to be consistent with how a machine may operate. The mechanics of opening a door might seem simple from the typical player perspective, but
S.A.M.
handles it differently. Originally you just had to look at a door and press X, but that felt way too human, like you were pressing a button with your finger. But
S.A.M.
is not built like that, so instead you first have to pair with the system, the way you would link Bluetooth devices together, and gain a link to that object. Then you can interact. He explains. This grants a layer of immersion and intricacy to rather standard interactions, without becoming tedious. McKellan says that there was a lot of iteration involved, and the studio had entire systems come and go during development, trying to find the right balance between actions and storytelling. Even if there are different characters involved and a central storyline involving this lost clue in space, the focus is all about the station. It's not a story about what it means to be self-aware. That's built into death. And instead it's a fresh story about what the self-awareness might mean.
S.A.M.
is the station. Exploring the interior is essentially exploring yourself. Visual design and the choice of a modern setting were also important to help players identify with the environment in a meaningful way. Instead of being in the far future, everything happens only a few years from now. Ensuring the technology and concepts are real creates a sense of familiarity, which makes the fantastical events that happen more out of place, and ultimately alarming to the player. It's worth remembering that part of NoCode's team worked on alien isolation in the past, and while there is not of anymore roaming the space station this time around, The higher value is present here as well. In each episode of Stories Untold, players had to learn a new set of rules and make their way through a unique batch of tools each time. While
A.M.
does not exactly change throughout the game, DOE does. During development, the studio wanted to make it both look and feel as if parts of the station were made by different people, and this came with the challenge around player agency. There's a lot of aspects to DOE design that have deliberately went against the normal rules. For a good user experience, it's quite experimental that way. But we wanted to make sure that ship felt like not all systems were part of DI. He says, consistency was key to accomplishing this, without turning the experience overwhelming or confusing. One thing we did settle on was a consistent font throughout. As the more different it became, the harder it was for the player to adapt each time, says McKellan. So there is some consistency through it all. But the systems still feel different from one another in many ways. It was a lot of fun to design. Without entering spoiler territory, there are secrets and ideas that crop up in DOE as a result of the story progression, which reinforce annoying situations for the player. Almost everything in Observation is viewed through the lens of a camera, giving the game a voyeuristic feel. As McKellan explains, there was a lot involved into making shots look and feel as realistic as possible, while finding the right balance with the visual design of the station. It's a combination of procedural shaders, color grading animation and a few other elements. He says, it's part of my aesthetic, I guess. Where the analog feel of equipment that is not quite reliable adds a certain tension to things. We wanted these camera angles to feel believable, and not just look like screenshots. So having a layer of visual artifacts really helped blend the station and the point of view together. It's a nightmare for video compression, though, says McKellan. The Vis shader in the game is the most expensive post-processes we have running, and it's worth every millisecond of frame time. Whether you are just starting out, looking for something new, or just seeing what's out there, the Gamasutra Job board is the place where game developers move ahead in their careers. Gamasutra's job board is the most diverse, most active, and most established board of its kind in the video game industry, serving companies of all sizes, from indie to AAA. Here are just some of many positions being advertised right now. If you are a recruiter looking for talent, you can also post jobs here. Location: Nottingham, England. Avakin Life developer Lockwood Publishing is looking for a Backend Engineer with experience in Golang, Python, or Java to join its team in Nottingham. The responsibilities for this role include the creation and maintenance of fast, efficient, and reliable backend microservices to be used by the game client, assisting with the implementation and maintenance of automated testing of both backend API and services, and creating and maintaining documents required for team members to understand how web services and API function. Location: Hamburg, Germany. Are you bursting with ideas and eager to let your creativity flow in an inspiring work environment with a friendly atmosphere? Then apply now to become part of our passionate and wildly creative team. Join the studio behind the award-winning Galaxy on Fire series as level designer to create immersive and spectacular game worlds for an upcoming third-person action game for console and PC. Let's do this together. Location: San Mateo, California. The senior technical program manager reports into the platform planning management (PPM) department's business operations team, and is primarily focused on go-to-market and in-life project management. communications operations around the launch of platform products and features. These projects are typically platform initiatives which vary in scope and subject matter, ranging from incremental feature planning through to the hardware and software releases. The PPM team works with a broad set of internal and external teams, including global counterparts responsible for all aspects of product planning and development in the PlayStation family. As such, the ideal candidate has direct experience of platform planning and on managing projects in a global digital media entertainment environment. Gaming experience in just strongly desired. Location: Seattle, Washington. Valkyrie Entertainment is currently looking for a senior software engineer to join our highly talented team to help us deliver high quality, exciting, and most importantly,